The transmission came at 3:17 Earth Central Time. A simple emergency ping. Hidden deep within the quiet band of civilian research channels. No voice, no message. Just a high-pitched beeping tone that repeated every 8 seconds. Nobody paid attention at first. Research outposts often had minor equipment failures, false alerts, or weather-related interference. Most times, the ping stopped after a few minutes. This one didn't. The signal came from Rachis Prime, a quiet, red-soiled planet on the far edge of Sector 17. It was one of the newer colonies, not meant for colonization or trade. Just science. A human research station sat alone on the planet's northern ridge, studying the soil, the ancient rock layers, and some fossilized remains found in the valley nearby. The station held only 9 people, 5 scientists, 2 engineers, and 2 security officers. They weren't soldiers. They weren't prepared for war. When the emergency beacon kept pulsing for over 30 minutes, Earth's command noticed. A small technician named Leon Marks ran a manual check through the deep relay system. Wow. She expected to find a power loss or a delayed satellite. Instead, she found silence. Total silence, no live feed, no backup signal, no response to direct pings. Nothing. She checked the station logs. The last data upload had occurred 24 hours. GoNormal.com. Dr. Kepler had been reporting the discovery of a strange triangular stone deep in the fossil bed. He'd sounded excited. That was the last message Earth received from Rachis Prime. Then, the camera feed returned just for 6 seconds. Blurred, shaky, fire, a hallway filled with smoke. A broken glass door. The camera caught something large dragging across the floor, blood smeared behind it. A human hand, someone crawling. Trying to escape? Then the screen went black again, and a single word flashed in red across the screen. Leave. Captain Rhea Morgan watched the footage in total silence. She had led many missions, served through 2 alien conflicts, and faced pirate sieges on 3 outer worlds. But this was different. There were no enemy broadcasts, no claims of responsibility, no threats or demands, just a message burned into the camera feed. 9 missing people. Rhea didn't hesitate. She requested a Class 3 response team, selected 5 soldiers with recon and survival experience, and added 2 engineers for field tech support. The ship, Valkyrie 9, launched within 3 hours. Their mission? Reach the outpost, locate survivors, and find out what had happened. It took them 11 hours to reach Rachis Prime. The planet was quiet, covered in a thick red haze and low gravity. The ship circled the research zone twice before landing. There was no visible damage from above. The buildings looked intact, but nothing moved. No heat signatures, no life. Rhea gave the order. Her boots hit the ground first. The air was breathable, but dry. The silence was heavy. Her team spread out, weapons drawn. The outpost doors were unlocked, but partially jammed. Inside, the temperature had dropped. Power was still running, but flickering. They entered slowly. The main hallway smelled of smoke and burnt metal. The walls had deep scratches, like something had torn through them. Furniture was overturned. A lab door hung open, swinging slightly. One of the soldiers, Private Kim, pointed at the floor. Blood not fresh. Dried dark and thick, leading toward the med bay. Eyes up, Rhea said softly. Her voice was steady, but her heart was pounding. The team moved deeper into the station. No sign of bodies, no sign of life. But the signs of violence were everywhere. Shattered glass, bullet holes, scorch marks on the ceiling, and that smell sharp and sour. Like something rotten, hiding just out of sight, they reached the med-bay. It was the first room with lights fully intact. Beds were overturned, cabinets empty. And on the wall scrawled in something that looked like ash or blood was a phrase, "We woke them." The silence grew heavier. "Who?" whispered Kim. No one answered. One of the engineers, Anya, accessed the central terminal. She pulled the last recorded logs. Dr. Kepler's voice played through the speaker. "This is day 27. Found another fossil cluster near the ridge. Not bones at least not like anything we know. Triangular plates. Strange ridges. It's almost like armor. We're digging deeper. There's something down there. It's massive. The next log was timestamped 2 days later. We hit a sealed layer, like a vault. There's writing etched into the stone alien symbols. We're trying to translate. Security thinks we should stop. I don't agree. Another log. We broke the seal. It wasn't just fossils, it's a grave, a burial site. Layer after layer of bodies, like a mass tomb. Some of them are fused with the rock itself. I've never seen anything like it. Then came the last log. It was just a whisper. We weren't supposed to find this. The audio ended. The team stood still. No one spoke. Rhea could feel that something had gone terribly wrong here, and it wasn't a pirate raid or a wild animal. This was ancient, intentional, a warning that no one had listened to. Suddenly, the lights in the hall flickered again, and a sound echoed through the outpost. Not mechanical, not natural. A voice, soft, broken, like a human voice calling from far away. Help me. Rhea raised her weapon. The others froze. The sound came again. Help me. But it wasn't coming from the cum system. It was coming from outside. They followed the sound to the edge of the base, where the soil met the rocky forest. The voice grew louder, more desperate. But the scanners showed no life signs, no human presence. Help me, was Private Kim's brother's voice. But Kim's brother had died 2 years ago. Kim stepped forward, confused, trembling. Rhea stopped him. It's a trick. Kim looked at her, tears in his eyes. But that's his voice. I know it. The voice stopped. The forest went still. Then something moved at the edge of the trees. A figure, human-shaped, limping, barefoot, clothes torn, blood covering the chest. It was Dr. Kepler. He stumbled forward, vanished into thin air. Gone, like smoke. The scanners picked up nothing. Anya swore. What was that? A projection, Rhea said, or a memory. They returned inside. Rhea called the ship. Began immediate atmospheric scan. I want a sweep of the ground below us. There might be caverns, the AI answered. There are disturbances in the soil beneath the outpost, shifting patterns, unstable readings. Something is breathing. The word hit hard. Breathing. And send. In the drone, Rhea ordered. The ship released a small crawler drone into the cracks near the ridge. It moved silently, lowering itself into a narrow tunnel. The video feed showed ancient stonework, walls carved with strange symbols, and bones, thousands of bones piled high. Human bones, alien bones, mixed together. Then the drone turned left, and something looked back. Not human, not machine. Face. Made of chitin and old stone, with glowing red eyes that pulsed like a heartbeat. The drone froze. Then the signal cut. Rhea stared at the blank screen. Her pulse raced. What did we wake up? Whispered Anya. Rhea didn't answer. She stepped. Outside again, looking toward the horizon. The forest was still. The sky above turned darker, though it was still day. The wind carried a soft, low hum. Not music, not weather. A chant. Words they couldn't understand. They weren't alone on Arrakis Prime. Inside, Private Reyes ran in. Captain, you need to see this. In one of the back rooms, they had found something hidden behind a false wall. Storage room, untouched, sealed from the inside. Inside they found a body. One of the scientists, dead, curled in a corner. Clutching a recording device, Rhea played it. If you're hearing this, we're gone. We tried to stop the digging, but it was too late. We woke them up. They're not spirits. They're not machines. There's something else. Something old. They don't hate us. They don't even care. They just want their world back, and for everything on it to die. Then the audio ended with a sharp scream and the sound of claws. On metal, Rhea stood still. No one spoke. This wasn't just an attack. This was a burial ground. Something was angry that it had been disturbed. Outside, the wind shifted again, and in the red haze, Something moved between the trees, watching, waiting. The silent alarm had been more than a call for help. It was a warning, and now it was too late to leave. The sky over Arrakis Prime never truly turned dark. Even at night, the twin moons gave off a soft, eerie glow that made the red dust shimmer. But that night, the air felt heavier, thicker, as if the planet was holding its breath. Inside the outpost, Captain Rhea Morgan sat silently at the edge of the comms table, her helmet on the floor, her eyes focused on the last recording they had found. She replayed the scream again. And again, each time, it hit her harder. The scientist, whoever he was, had died terrified. Not from a weapon, not from an explosion, but from something that came up from the ground and dragged him away. That much was clear. The walls were clawed, the door dented from the inside. He had locked himself in and still didn't make it. The outpost smelled like rust and smoke. Private Kim stood by the main hallway, staring down into the darkness beyond the lab. He hadn't said much since seeing the illusion or ghost of his brother's voice. The others didn't talk about it. No one wanted to admit what they were seeing. It wasn't natural. Outside, a low sound echoed again. Not a voice this time, not footsteps. A deep vibration, like something large moving beneath the soil. Anya, the field engineer, adjusted her scanner, Captain. The ground isn't stable anymore, it's shifting. I think there are tunnels under the base. How deep? Rhea asked. I don't. No, but the shape's strange. It's not random, it's organized, almost like a nest. Rhea clenched her jaw. You need to go down there. Private Reyes looked up from his weapon. You're serious? After what we just saw? If we don't go down, we're just waiting to die up here, Rhea said. There was silence again. Then she added, we find out what happened. We find survivors. We get out. It wasn't a choice. By sunrise, they located a hatch in the cargo bay half buried beneath crates. It led to a shaft no one had mentioned in the station blueprints. A narrow ladder dropped into darkness about 20 meters deep. Reyes went first, and Kim, then Rhea. The tunnel below wasn't made by humans. It was carved through the rock with smooth, spiraling walls. The texture was almost polished, and the air smelled like minerals, iron, and something older like burnt bones. Their helmet lights flicked across symbols etched into the walls. Alien symbols, sharp, angled, and repeated over and over. Anya scanned them, same as the ones from the burial site logs. These are warnings, repeated warnings. What do they say? Kim asked. She hesitated. The translator isn't perfect, but the meaning's clear enough. Disturb not the dead. Soil remembers. They kept moving. The path split into two, one leading deeper underground, the other toward what looked like a collapsed wall. Rhea chose the deeper tunnel. The temperature dropped. Soon, found something else. A broken camera drone. Human-made. And beside it, footsteps. Not alien. Human. Fresh boots. Someone was down here recently, Reyes said. Not more than 2 days ago. They followed the tracks until they reached a chamber. Inside, dozens of fossilized skeletons lined the walls. Not just bones armor, strange weapons, clawed limbs fossilized into position. Some were huge, others small, and curled into fetal shapes. In the center of the room was a black stone altar, and on top of the altar, human hand, clean, preserved, detached from the arm. Rhea took a step forward, her heart racing. Closer. It had a name patch on the sleeve fragment. Dr. Kepler behind them. Kim swore under his breath. Then they heard a sound from the tunnel behind them. Footsteps, not running. Walking slowly, closer. Rhea turned off her light. The others followed. They crouched in silence. The footsteps stopped at the edge of the chamber. For a moment, nothing moved. Then a voice called out, "Don't run." It was a human voice. Tired. Dry. A figure stepped into the light. It was a man wearing a torn uniform, eyes bloodshot, beard unshaved. He raised his hand slowly. "My name is Corporal Malik. Recon Unit 5. I was sent here 3 weeks ago. Reyes raised his weapon. You're supposed to be dead. I was, Malik said. Almost. Rhea stepped forward carefully. Where's your team? Malik's expression darkened. Gone, taken, all except me. What did this? They're not from now, Malik said. They're from before, from the time before language, before thought. They don't care about us. We're just noise to them. He looked at the walls. You found the bones. That was your mistake. Yes. They weren't buried for study. Yes. They were buried to trap something inside. And now it's waking up. The team listened, stunned. Ani whispered, How did you survive? Malik turned toward the far tunnel. I didn't, not alone. Then, from the darkness, another figure stepped forward. It's not human. It stood 8 feet tall, thin and insect-like, with pale green skin and long limbs. But it didn't attack. Bowed its head and raised empty hands. This is Sral, Malik said. He's not one of them. His kind fought against the ones you woke up. Thousands of years ago, and they lost. Rhea didn't lower her gun. Why help us? Sral spoke in a slow, broken version of human speech. Because if they rise, again, this world dies.
Ow.
Then yours. He turned and walked deeper into the tunnel. Come, I show. The map. Malik looked at Rhea. You can shoot me if you want, but he's our only chance now. Rhea nodded slowly. Lead the way.
Oh.
They walked for another hour through twisting passages until they reached an enormous underground hall. The walls were covered in carvings, scenes of battle, of war, of planets burning. It was a history. A warning. Sral placed his long fingers on one section. This was before your son was born, he said. The carvings showed great beasts, the same species whose bones were found. But they weren't dead. They were alive, conquering planets, devouring cities, tearing spacefaring ships apart with their claws. They could speak, Sral continued. But they chose hunger, pain, endless war. They were defeated, Rhea asked. Sral nodded slowly, not killed. Locked in, soil and fire, on this world, bound with blood and stone. Now we broke the lock, Malik said. Anya checked her scanner again. Captain, I think. More are waking up. The ground is moving again, fast, like something's pushing up. Rhea turned to Malik. Can we seal them again? No, he said. But we can bury them deeper. Collapse the tunnels. Cut the oxygen. Seal the surface and you? She asked. Malik shrugged. I didn't come here to survive. Reyes turned pale. There's hundreds of them, isn't there? Sral answered. Thousands? Suddenly, a roar echoed through the tunnels. Deep, animal-like, and close. They ran as they raced through the tunnels. Something chased them. A shape in the shadows, not fully formed. It's not flesh, but not ghost either. A memory made real. Its eyes glowed red. Its claws scratched stone, and it screamed in voices, not its own human voices, overlapping. Rhea turned and fired. The bullet passed through it. It didn't stop. Malik pulled a grenade and threw it behind them. The explosion lit the tunnel in white. Fire, the creature didn't scream. It just faded. Into dust, they reached the ladder. Climbed fast. As the outpost hatch closed behind them, the ground rumbled again. Slow quake. Not natural. Kim looked at the forest. Shapes moved between the trees. Are we safe? He asked. No, Rhea said. Not yet. And the wind whispered again, softly repeating the same word. Leave, leave, leave. But this time it wasn't a warning. It was a promise. The forest outside the outpost looked calm again, but no one believed it. The twin moons hung low in the red sky. Wind swept across the dust like quiet whispers, brushing against the broken antennas and leaving small trails across the ground. Captain, Rhea Morgan stood with her weapon in hand, staring toward the tree line. The whispers hadn't stopped. The word leave came every few minutes, never louder, never clearer. And it didn't sound like a threat anymore. It sounded like a chant. A ritual. Private Kim and Rhea stood near the outpost gate, their eyes, scanning the ridge. Anya sat on a crate beside the drone case, checking her damaged scanner. The screen flickered. The readings were still erratic shapes, moving below the surface, heat spikes in impossible places. None of it made sense. Inside the outpost, Malik knelt near a map he had drawn on the floor using ash and chalk. Sral stood behind him, silent. His large black eyes blinked slowly, his breathing slow and steady. He looked like a mix of insect and reptile, strange, but not terrifying anymore. Malik pointed to the ridge. This section here, that's where they're clustered. It's where the bones are the deepest. That's where the first lock broke. Rhea stepped inside and leaned over the map. You're saying there are more locks? 3 more, Malik said. From what I could understand, one of them is already weak. You saw the groundits breaking apart. And if they all break? Reyes asked from the doorway. Malik looked up. His voice was low. Then the whole planet becomes one giant grave. Everything in it walks again. Anya looked up from her scanner. The energy signatures, whatever these things are, they don't follow normal heat or motion readings, but they leave behind something else. What? Rhea asked. Echoes. Everyone turned to her. Anya explained they don't just kill, they remember, copy, every scream, every voice, every fear, and they replay it, choose it, like a weapon. Kim rubbed his arms, uncomfortable.
Ow.
That's why I heard my brother. Anya nodded. They heard you miss him, so they gave him back. Just a shadow, a trick, to bring you closer. Outside, the wind picked up. A faint thump echoed from beneath the ground. Then another, like a heartbeat. Thump. Thump. Rhea turned. To Malik, you said someone tried to fight them before, thousands of years ago. Sral spoke, his voice slow and broken. My people. Buried them. But only after losing 10. For every one. We stopped. How? Rhea asked. Did you bury them? Sral walked to the window. With fire and with sacrifice. There was silence for a long moment. Then Rhea straightened. And we need to find the other lock sites. Seal them. Bury them again. Too late, Sral said. One is already broken. Another, cracking. We need to move now, Rhea said. Before the last one falls, Malik pointed on the map. We can reach one of the sites by crossing the valley near the eastern cliffs, but it's a graveyard, the old one, where the fossils were first found. Reyes looked out the window. We passed it when we landed. Looked quiet. Won't be now, Malik said. By nightfall, the team had packed supplies, weapons, and set drones to monitor the outpost. They left in silence, following Malik and Sral into the dust-covered valley. The ground was cracked and uneven. Bones poked out in places ancient, sharp, brittle, the further they walked. The more wrong the air felt. The valley was filled with old stone pillars. Some were broken. Some still stood tall, leaning toward the sky like fingers reaching for help. Carvings on them had faded with time, but the meaning was clear. Figures running, screaming, dying. Kim stepped beside one and whispered, "This place wasn't for science." It was forewarning. Then came the first sound. A faint whisper. Not words, just a breath. It brushed past their ears. The air grew colder. A low growl followed, but it wasn't close. Not yet. They reached the edge of a large pit. It was wide, deep, and full of ancient remains. Not buried, stacked. Bodies on bodies. Human-sized, alien-shaped, twisted. Some had metal fused to bone. Some had armor melted into their skin. Rhea stepped forward slowly. Then she saw them, eyes not glowing, but reflecting the moonlight, hundreds of them watching from the far side of the pit, motionless. Stay calm, Rhea said. They haven't moved. Anya raised her scanner. They're not fully awake yet. They're still sleeping. Then let's not wake them, Malik whispered. They moved around the edge, quiet and slow. Halfway around, the ground cracked. A soft crunch. Kim froze. He had stepped on something. He looked down. Sculled. It crumbled under his boot. Then the pit. stirred. One of the bodies moved, then another, then dozens. They weren't waking. They were listening. Every step, every breath, it made them shift. They hear through the bones, Sral said. The ground is their ear. They kept moving. Then a scream echoed across the valley. A human scream. It came from behind them, from the trees. Reyes turned. That's Lieutenant Harper, from our old unit. Harper was dead. They all knew that. The scream came again, closer. Then another voice. Kim, help me. It's me, Sam. Kim trembled. Sam was his brother. He looked at Rhea. They're in my head. No, she said. They're not. They're just using what they stole. Then came footsteps, running toward them. Human footsteps. A figure emerged from the trees. A soldier helmet cracked. Uniform bloody Harper. He stumbled forward. Help me, he said. Please. Rhea raised her weapon. The figure kept walking closer then. Smiled. Its mouth stretched too wide. Too wrong. Its voice cracked. We remember. Rhea fired. The round hit it in the chest. It staggered, then vanished into dust. The pit erupted. The sleeping things rose. Not fast, not angry. Just rising, their joints cracked. Their movement slow and steady, as if they had all the time in the world. Rhea shouted, Run! The team sprinted toward the far edge of the valley from above. Dozens of the creatures rose from beneath the soil, climbing out, crawling, walking Kim through a grenade behind him. The explosion lit the pit, bones flew, but the creatures didn't. Scream, they didn't bleed. They just kept coming. Reyes turned and fired again and again. They reached a cliff wall flat. Black stone, and in the center, another lock, a stone tablet. Humming faintly, Sral stepped forward. Touch it, he said. Use your blood. Rhea pulled out her knife. No time to ask questions. She sliced her palm and pressed it. Against the stone, the tablet glowed. The humming grew louder. The ground shook, but the creatures were close. Now 20 meters, 10. Then the lock exploded in light-blinding white fire. The ground split beneath the feet of the creatures, and they fell, screaming. Now the first sound of fear from them, then silence. Dust settled. Only bones remained. And smoke. Rhea dropped to one knee. Gasping, Sral stepped forward. One lock. Remains. Rhea looked at him, then at the team. They had survived, but barely, and the final lock. They didn't know where it was yet. But one thing was certain. If they failed again, nothing, on Rakis's prime, would stay dead. The wind over the valley was gone. Even the strange chant in the air had stopped. Only silence remained, hanging like a fog over the cracked earth. Where the ancient lock once stood, there was now a wide crater, filled with dust and black smoke. Captain. Rhea Morgan stood at the edge, her palms still bleeding from the ritual she didn't understand. The stone tablet had cracked in half. Whatever power it held, whatever held the dead beneath, was now used. Gone behind her. Private Reyes sat against the rock wall, holding his side. He was injured. Not badly, but enough to slow them down. Private Kim crouched nearby, staring at the crater, eyes hollow. He hadn't spoken since the lock exploded. Something had changed in him. Anya was still checking her scanner, the screen flickering more than usual. It struggled to stay online. The atmosphere around them was growing more unstable by the minute, and Malik was silent. He leaned against a stone pillar, his eyes closed, whispering to himself. Sral stood beside him, unmoving, listening to the ground. Then the shaking started. Again, Rhea turned sharply. Another tremor. No, Sral said softly. It is movement, not from below, from the sky. Rhea looked up. A flash of white light cut through the red clouds. A ship had descended fast, too fast. Its engines sputtered, fighting the gravity shift around the valley. It's one of ours, Anya said, shocked. It's a dropship, Earth markings. But no reinforcements were sent, Rhea said. The ship didn't land. Hard it smashed into the far side of the ridge with a sound that echoed for miles. Fire erupted, lighting the nearby cliffs in bright orange. A large cloud of dust rose into the sky, blocking the moons for a moment. The team stared. Rhea broke the silence. Move out now. They crossed the valley again, staying far from the pit of bones. The silence remained heavy. But something else returned, the whispers faint, but growing again. Now they carried more voices, not just one word, but hundreds, speaking all at once. Too many to understand. Too many to count. Rhea clenched her jaw. Ignore it. Keep walking. When they reached the crash site, they found twisted metal, burning fuel, and smoke, thick as fog. The tail section of the dropship was half buried in the rocks. The cockpit was crushed, and yet the rear hatch was open. Kim stepped forward slowly. Someone got out. They followed the trail. Footprints in the ash and dirt, boots, human, at least 3, but no sign of movement. Anya checked her scanner again. Something's wrong. Rhea already knew. The air here felt heavier, like breathing in stone. Then they heard it. A mechanical voice. Repeating. Double quotes. Defense mode. Active. Remain still. Remain still. They turned the corner and found a human soldier, or what was left of one. He was slumped against the wreck. Helmet shattered, chest armor torn open. But his eyes were still open and blinking. His voice came through a cracked speaker in his chest. Defense mode active. He wasn't alive. Not really. Reyes raised his weapon. It's a combat drone, mixed with a soldier. Okay. But they banned that tech years ago. This isn't Earth's design, Anya said. It's mimicking one. Rhea leaned closer. The face was human, but the movements weren't. It twitched, then looked directly at her. You're late, it said. She stepped back. Then it smiled and exploded. The blast wasn't strong, but loud. A message. Behind them, the rocks shifted. Figures began to crawl out of the crashed, twisted. Wrong, wearing bits of human armor, but no real flesh. Imitations, copies, half-formed from bone. Stone and memory. They didn't attack. They stood and stared, then knelt, one by one. Whispers filled the air again. Join us. Bury with us. Fall. Rhea grabbed Reyes and Kim. Fall back. We're not meant to fight them here. They ran, the creatures watching, unmoving. The crash site was a trap, but why? Back at the ridge, they paused behind a boulder. The air shimmered slightly like heat. Malik gasped. They're testing us. Testing what? Kim asked. Our fear? Our will? They don't care if we live or die. They're watching how we break. Then the ground opened beneath them. No warning, just a sudden drop. Dust rocks, a long fall, then blackness. Rhea hit the ground hard, rolled and gasped. She was in another chamber, not natural, built, walls of polished black stone. Symbols carved in repeating circles. The light was faint, coming from veins of glowing red crystal in the ceiling. She stood, alone. No sign of the others. Footsteps echoed in the distance. Then a voice. Captain Morgan. She turned fast, gun raised. A woman stood across the chamber wearing a research suit. Her face was calm. It was Dr. Kepler. But Dr. Kepler was dead. Rhea said nothing. The woman stepped forward. You're not here to win. You're here to remember, just like we are. Rhea fired. The bullet passed through her. She smiled and vanished into dust. Behind her, the wall changed. It melted into an image of Earth, burning, covered in red vines and stone towers. And behind it, shapes with no names, no faces, just hunger. Then, Rhea heard Kim's voice calling her name. She ran toward it. Down another tunnel, twisting, narrow. Then she saw him. Kim was on his knees, hands over his ears. Reyes beside him, holding his head, shaking, both screaming. Anya knelt beside them, trying to calm them. They're in their heads, she said to Rhea. I can't block it. Where's Malik? Rhea asked. No answer. Then a sound came from the far wall. It was humming, not from machines. From the DC lock, the last one. It was a head, a giant stone, taller than anything they'd seen before. Cracked, glowing, not red, but black, like it was sucking. Leiden, Sral appeared behind her, his voice quiet. It is too late. Rhea turned. No, we seal it. He looked down. This one was never meant to be sealed. Then we destroy it. We'll destroy you. Rhea stared at the stone. It pulsed like a heart inside it. Shapes moved, still forming, still waking. I don't care, Rhea said. She turned to Anya. How much explosive do we have left? Enough, Anya said. Then we bury it. Rhea knelt beside Kim. He was still shaking, but his eyes met hers. Can you walk? Lay. Barely they planted charges deep under the stone. Sral helped, placing the final trigger beneath. The root-like veins crawling across the floor as they backed away. The chamber began to quake. The stone screamed, not with sound, but with memory. Rhea heard every voice she'd ever lost. Her father, her old unit, her best friend. The children from Titan Station, all gone, and now screaming from within the stone, begging her to stop. But she didn't. She hit the detonator. The ground exploded upward. Stone shattered. Flames rose. The scream broke. The black heart cracked open, and inside was dust, old, dry, dead. The power faded. The chamber collapsed. And for the first time since they arrived on Rakis's prime, there was silence. Real silence. Not the kind that hides things. The kind that means something ended. When they climbed back to the surface, the sky had changed. The clouds were gone. Moons were clear. The wind didn't whisper anymore. Rhea looked back at the ridge. Nothing moved. No bones. No voices. No ghosts. It was over for now. But far beneath the planet, hidden in cracks too deep for scanners, something still breathed. Slow, waiting, remembering. The desert wind returned. Dry, cold. Empty, Captain Rhea Morgan stood at the highest ridge of the valley, her boots dusty, her skin burned from Rakis Prime's twin suns. The silence after the blast was strange, too peaceful. Like the planet itself was pretending nothing had happened. The black stone, the heart of the lock, was gone, shattered into fine ash. But Rhea knew better. Whatever they'd fought down there wasn't truly dead. It had only fallen back into slumber. Behind her, Kim leaned on Reyes, still weak from the mental assault. I hadn't spoken since the collapse. He stared at the sky like he wasn't sure if it was real. Anya was quiet too. Her scanner, once full of glitches and red zones, now showed only green. Safe, she said. Though her voice didn't sound convinced, Malik sat alone on a rock, whispering something over and over. Not the last. Not the last. Not the last. Rhea walked over to him. He looked up, and for the first time in hours, he smiled. You saw it, didn't you? He asked. She didn't answer. He nodded. The archive in the stone, the vision, earth burning, was a memory, she said quietly. Not a prediction, no, Malik said. It was both. Before she could speak again, Anya called. Out, incoming signal. Everyone froze. No ships were supposed to be near Rakis Prime. Anya adjusted her gear. Encrypted. But it's Earth code, Reyes frowned. That doesn't mean it's ours. Not anymore. They took positions fast. Weapons ready. Eyes scanning the skies. A hum filled the air. Then dash out of nowhere. Sleek black ship emerged from the clouds above. It wasn't military. No markings. Just smooth metal. Silent. Watching it. Hovered above the ridge, motionless. A small orb dropped from its underside. It landed a few feet from Rhea, and hissed unfolding like a flower. A voice came through, deep and calm. Captain Morgan, you've exceeded mission parameters. Everyone tensed. How do you know my name? Rhea asked. The voice ignored the question. You have awakened a failed system. You were not authorized to access the locks. We didn't have a choice, Rhea snapped. We were attacked. The lock was breached. We stopped it. The orb paused. Then the contamination spread. You did not stop it. You only delayed it. Lex stepped forward. Who are you? There was silence. Then we are the protocol, Yanya whispered. That name's not in any Earth registry. The orb continued. You are to remain in orbit. Quarantine begins in 20 hours. Extraction denied. Rhea stepped closer to the orb. This is a human mission. You don't give the orders here. There was no answer. Instead, the orb flashed once, then melted into the ground. The black ship above them vanished like mist. Everyone stood still. What was that? Kim asked. Reyes shook his head. Not Earth, not alien. Something in between. Anya said what none of them wanted to say, something old. That night, they set up camp near the valley's edge. No one slept. The fire they built barely kept the shadows away. Malik kept scribbling strange symbols into the dirt, claiming he had seen them before in the dream, in the stone. In the past, Rhea walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down at the shattered remains of the lock. The bones were still there, not moving, but they were. Cleaner now, white dot, fresh, as if the dust had been brushed off them. Anya came up behind her. We should leave. The dropship's still operational. I can patch it. Rhea didn't turn around. And what happens when we go back to command? Do we tell them the truth? No one will believe us. Then they'll come here, Anya said. They'll find out for themselves, Rhea exhaled. That's what I'm afraid of. The next morning, he found something worse. Another crater, north of the ridge. This one wasn't made by them. The ground was smooth, clean, like something had bored its way up from beneath. Kim checked the readings. It's recent. Like hours. Old, they followed the tunnel. It led down into darkness further than before. Carved walls, not natural. Then they saw the markings, symbols matching the ones Malik had drawn. They lit a flare. The light touched something on the far wall. A door, human, in shape, not design. A handprint glowed in the center. Rhea felt drawn to it. She didn't want to be, but she was. She placed her palm on it. It accepted her. The door. Open inside was not a chamber. It was a hall. Endless, filled with machines too old to move. And screens showing places they didn't recognize. Earth, Mars, Titan. But not as they knew them. Versions, older, twisted. And among the screens, bodies sat. Human bodies, dead, but not rotted. Preserved, watching, guarding. Rhea stepped closer to the center. A single console pulsed. Then came the voice again, this time from everywhere. You are now inside the reserve. Reyes gripped his rifle. What the hell is that? The voice replied, the place where memories sleep. Screens changed. Now they showed them the team. Their mission, every step, even moments none of them had. Recorded private thoughts, fears, anger. Malik fell to his knees. They've been watching since before we arrived. Rhea turned to the console. Who are you? The voice replied, calm and endless. We are what remains of those who came before humans. We are the protocol. The locks were ours. The power was ours. Broke the silence. And now, Earth will hear the echo. Then the door behind them slammed shut, and the lights dimmed. The lights flickered. Then silence. Captain Rhea Morgan stood frozen, eyes fixed on the glowing console at the center of the chamber. Around her, the screens had gone dark. The ancient hall was still. But the air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. Reyes tried the door again. Locked. Sealed from the other side. Malik muttered something under his breath. He hadn't stood up since he fell. His fingers still scratched symbols into the dust. Kim sat against the wall, breathing fast. It's like we're trapped inside someone's mind, watching us, feeling us. Rhea turned away from the console and looked at them all, tired, scared, silent. Then the voice turned. You have entered the reserve. There is no escape without sacrifice. Anya stepped forward. What sacrifice? The screen lit up against, showing an image of Earth, then fire, cities burning, oceans boiling, spaceports cracking apart. This is one future, the voice said. The screen shifted now, showing Earth dark, empty, abandoned. This is another. Rhea narrowed her eyes. Are these threats? Warnings? No, said the voice. These are options. Another screen lit up. It showed a group of beings tall, skeletal, wrapped in bioarmor. Not human, not alien. Something in between. The protocol? Who created you? Rhea asked. What were the locks for? We were made by the ones who ruled before time was. Counted, the voice answered. The locks were placed to contain the echo. The echo is hunger. The echo is memory. The echo is war. Rhea stepped back. We woke it. No, the voice said. You disturbed it. It is not fully awake. But soon it will be. Another screen lit up. This time showed the outpost, or what was left of it. Bodies, fire, twisted metal, and something moving through the wreckage. Something tall, silent, hungry. Double quotes? Is that real? Reyes asked. Yes, the voice replied. It is coming. Malik suddenly stood up, his eyes wide. No more hiding, he said. I remember now. It showed me. The archive. The truth. He walked to the center of the chamber. They didn't just lock away the echo. They left a weapon here, a key. Rhea frowned. A weapon. Malik nodded. A machine. Alive, but sleeping. Where is it? Anya asked. He pointed at the floor. Beneath us. Rhea didn't hesitate. Then we dig. Reyes blinked. We don't even know what it is. We don't have time, she said. If that thing's coming, we need to be ready. The team worked fast, using portable cutters, shovels, and any tools they had. They broke through the stone floor. Every layer brought them deeper into the dark. Then dash metal, not human, not alien. Smooth, black, pulsing faintly. The shape was a sphere, 10 meters wide. Covered in markings none of them understood, but it hummed. Alive. Malik stepped closer. It's listening, he whispered. To what? To us the moment he touched it. Light spread across its surface, lines glowing blue, then red, then white. The voice returned, but this time it came from the sphere. Identify, Rhea answered. Captain Rhea Morgan, Earth Recon, Unit Sigma, 6. Biological confirmation accepted. Host neural patterns detected. Protocol transfer permitted. The sphere began to open. Inside was a core floating in energy. It looked like a heart, but made of crystal. The lights in the chamber flared. Suddenly, screens turned on again, this time showing a new image. The thing from the outpost, the monster, was now marching across the desert. It was no longer alone. Others had joined. It's smaller, faster, feeding on the remains of the fallen. Estimated contact? For hours, said the voice. Anya cursed. They're coming straight here. Rhea turned to the sphere. Activate the weapon. Silence. Then, command must be given by full unit consensus. Reyes stepped forward. What does that mean? All members must agree, said the voice. Unanimous consent triggers deployment. They looked at each other. No one spoke. Finally, Rhea said, we don't have time if we don't use this. Everything dies. Malik nodded. Yes. Anya hesitated, then raised her hand. I agree. Reyes looked down and back at the screen. Count me in. Only Kim remained. He looked scared, but he stepped forward. I agree, he said quietly. The chamber shook. Energy pulsed through the core. Consent confirmed. Deploying Sentinel. The sphere split open, and the machine inside began to rise. It wasn't what they expected. It looked human, not perfectly, but close. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head shaped like a helmet. But it was massive, over 5 meters tall, covered in armor that shimmered with strange light. The ground cracked as it stepped. Forward, the Sentinel is now active. Is it under our control? Rhea asked. For now, said the voice. The roof opened above them, sliding away, like stone made of water. The Sentinel looked up, then launched into the air, straight toward the enemy. 2 hours later, As the valley burned, the sky above Arrakis Prime turned black as fire rained from the Sentinels' cannons. The creatures attacked in waves, screeching, crawling, tearing. But they were nothing compared to what stood against them. The Sentinel was not just a machine, it was something more. It moved like it remembered war. It fought like it had. It's done this before, and it showed no mercy. The team watched from a distance, sheltered behind stone outcroppings, as shockwaves rolled across the sand, one by one. The monsters fell, screaming, burning, until only one remained, the leader, the tall one. It charged the Sentinel. The two collided, the shock knocked the team to the ground, then dashed silence. When the dust cleared, the Sentinel stood above a crater. Smoke rose from its chest, but it was still standing. The creature was gone. Rhea stood. Is it over? No, Malik said. It's only begun. She looked at him. He pointed to the horizon. More dark shapes were forming, far away. But coming closer? Rhea swore. They're everywhere. The voice returned one last time. The echo is not one thing. It is a network. You have killed one node. The others now awaken. Anya asked. What do we do? The answer was cold. You. Prepare Earth. Rhea's hands clenched into fists. Then she looked at her team. No more secrets, she said. No more hiding. We return, she said louder. We tell command. Show them the archive. We warn the colonies. If they don't believe us? Kim asked. Rhea smiled without humor. Then we fight alone. The ship broke through the clouds above Earth like a falling knife. Command didn't believe them at first. Rhea's transmission was scrambled, half static, half chaos. But when the orbital sensors picked up the Sentinel still clinging to the ship's hull, silent and glowing, they understood one thing very clearly. Something ancient had come back. The hangar lights flickered as Rhea and her team stepped onto Earth's soil again. They were changed. Not just exhausted or worn down, but different. The kind of difference you could smell in people who had seen something no one else had. General Hawk stood at the end of the platform. Beside him, rows of military staff, intelligence, officers and scientists with trembling hands. You brought it back, he said coldly. Rhea nodded. We had no choice. Malik stepped forward, holding the crystal drive from the archive. This has everything. Coordinates, warnings, enemy, movement. The echo isn't just coming, it's already spreading. Hawk's expression didn't change. We ran the scans. That machine you woke up, it's more than a weapon. It's a beacon. Rhea frowned. What do you mean it's broadcasting? To whom? We don't know, Anya muttered. That's bad. The general turned to his aides. Quarantine the crew. Lock down the Sentinel. And get me a threat map of every system near Arrakis Prime. The orders echoed through the chamber, but Rhea's mind was already somewhere else. She remembered what the voice in the archive had said. The echo is not one thing. It is a network. She feared they had only lit the first torch. 2 weeks later, 5 human colonies went dark. No distress call, no survivors. Satellites found one image blurry, but chilling. A shadow tall. Jagged standing among the ruins. Each time it looked different, but its eyes were always the same. Bright and cold, Earth declared a state of total war. Orbital platforms were activated. The Titan-class fleet was mobilized. Yet, enemy never came directly. They crept like smoke, infected systems, turned machines against their makers, used fear like a weapon. On Europa 7. Entire cities vanished into the ice. On Sigma 2. Gravity wells collapsed with no explanation, and from deep space. Signals began to repeat whispers of languages long dead. Rhea sat in the briefing room, playing the same audio again and again. They're not attacking randomly, he said. They're choosing locations. It's testing something. Rhea stared at the map. Circles, crosses, routes. They were forming a pattern, not choosing, she whispered, preparing. The Sentinel stood silent inside a sealed dome on Earth's surface. Scientists studied it. Guards watched it day and night. It didn't move, but it listened. And then, one night it spoke. Only one word, a word no human understood, but every translator picked it up the same way. Awake in that same hour, Earth's defense satellites picked up a new object. Large, fast, and completely unfamiliar. It wasn't shaped like any known ship. It was jagged, bent, half live, half dash metal. It hovered just outside Mars' orbit, and then it opened. Inside was a swarm knot. Ships, but living machines. Small, fast, sharp like insects. They didn't broadcast anything. They just moved straight for Earth. High, command panicked. Fleets were launched. Missiles prepared. Lasers charged, but none of it mattered. The swarm didn't come to destroy. It came to infect. Every sensor. Every comms tower, every drone was hijacked. Earth's defense grid blinked off one by one. The enemy didn't break. The gate, they opened it from inside. Only one defense line remained. Old tech, analog systems. Deep bunkers untouched by modern AI. Rhea was in one of them, watching it unfold. "This is it," Rhea said, staring at the map. "They've turned. Our strength against us." Malik stood silently near the wall, sketching more symbols into his notepad. "They don't just kill," he said. "They rewrite." "Rewriting what?" Kim asked. "History, memory, identity?" Reyes frowned. "Like making us forget? Or changing what we remember?" Suddenly, the room shook. An alarm blared. Then a voice. "Not human. You brought." The sentinel. Now the gate must open. The wall behind them cracked. A glowing line formed, splitting down the middle. Rhea raised her rifle. But it wasn't an enemy. It was a door. Inside was nothing but light, and a stairway leading down. She looked. At her team, "Get ready." Beneath the earth, they found another chamber. It wasn't built by humans. It was older than the continents, covered in strange metallic roots that pulsed like veins. In the center, a machine, shaped like a spine. Above it, a sphere of energy hovered, showing the faces of dozens of alien species, some known, most long extinct. "They were here before us," Malik said softly. The machine pulsed. Then the voice returned. "The gate is not a portal. It is a memory, a choice, one you have now unlocked." Rhea stepped forward. "What happens if we open it? You become part of the war?" "We already are." "No, you are still separate, still hopeful. But if you choose to fight with what lies beyond the gate, you will never go back." Anya looked unsure. "What if we refuse? Then you die. Not by weapon, by forgetting who you were." The images shifted. Earth burning, but not from missiles. From silence, empty cities, no voices, no memories, just BLANKNESS. A world erased from existence itself, not destroyed, unwritten. Rhea clenched her fists. She looked back at her team, then stepped into the light. When she opened her eyes, she was not on Earth anymore. She stood in a void filled with stars, but these stars whispered. She saw ships, bigger than moons, creatures of fire and light, dead gods floating in the black, and machines like the Sentinel. But far older, she wasn't alone. Figures stood beside her, not human, not alien. Echoes of warriors who had walked this path before. Each had made the same choice, to stand between the echo and the rest of existence. A war older than time, one that never ended, one that now welcomed her, back on Earth. Her body returned to the chamber, but something had changed. Her eyes glowed, her mind burned with understanding. She looked at her team. "The Echo is afraid," she said. "Afraid of what?" Kim asked. "Of what will become." The voice returned the moment Earth's moon went dark. No lights, no comms, no signal. Just a quiet whisper across every speaker radio. and mind connected to the Sentinel. You opened the gate. Now face what waits beyond it. Rhea stood at Earth's command bunker, breathing heavy, surrounded by generals, diplomats, and surviving fleet captains. Her pupils still glowed faintly from the memory of the void. General Hawk slammed a metal fist on the table. "This isn't war. It's rewriting reality," Reyes replied, calm but tense. "Then we fight not just for Earth, but to remember it." Everyone went quiet. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was the last real memory in the galaxy. Everything else was fading. The Echo had already erased 8 civilizations. No ruins. No bones. Not even stars where their planets once spun. Only hollow space remained, space that bent strangely, as if even time refused to touch it. Now, the swarm was closing in, but Earth had changed. The awakening of the gate triggered something deep in the planet's crust. Old defense programs. Pre-human tech. Possibly even alien dash-built. Titan warships emerged from black vaults. It's once thought to be inactive. They weren't sleek, they weren't beautiful, but they were angry and loud. Like a species that refused to go quietly into the night. Across Mars, sky, Earth's last fleet gathered. Rhea stood at the bridge of the Helios Vow. It's the largest of the Titan-class dreadnoughts. Her team was back at her side. Malik, fully linked to the Sentinel, his mind pulsing with unknown languages. Anya, scarred but steady, aiming the railgun controls. Reyes quiet, watching enemy formations through 1,000 drones. Kim, managing reactor levels as energy spiked beyond normal limits. And Rhea, no longer just a soldier, now something else, something the Echo feared. The enemy didn't send ships this time. They sent shapes, memories that weren't real, ghosts of loved ones, fake voices over the coms. "I am your mother. Let us in. I am your son. You failed. I am you." But Earth didn't listen. The humans blocked the signal, used analog systems, painted war slogans on steel walls, and when the swarm came, they did not run. They launched straight into the fire. The battle over Saturn was so violent that its rings shattered. Lightning across. Vacuum. Screams across code. The Helios Vow tore through 3 Echo carriers before it even slowed down. Anya fired a burst that cracked one of the hive ships in. Half Rhea's reprogrammed enemy drones mid-flight, turning them back on their makers. Malik started speaking in a voice not entirely his own, channeling the archive systems, confusing the Echo's network. They were not just fighting back, they were rewriting the battle, turning memory, turning pain into power. But then, the Echo released its true form. From behind a gas giant, a shadow appeared larger than Earth's moon. Its surface was made of writhing wires. Faces, voices, histories. It wasn't one being, it was all the fallen. It moved without moving, spoke in every language at once, and reached into the minds of Earth's defenders, trying to make them forget why they fought. Some ships fell, some minds cracked, but not Rhea, because deep inside, it's the memory of Rachis Prime burned, of the dead, of the betrayal, of the Outpost buried under alien dirt. She screamed into the coms, "Hold the line. Remember who you are." That became the rally cry. Across ships, across bunkers, even children hiding in Earth's vaults whispered it. Remember who you are. Then came the final strike. The Sentinel, now fully awakened, merged with Earth's orbital core. It sent a blast. Through time itself, not a weapon, but a memory. Every soldier, every machine, every atom of Earth remembered its place. The Echo faltered, because it could erase data, but it could not kill meaning. It could delete names, but not purpose. And that was when Rhea gave the final order, "All units fire everything." The Titan fleet opened up, not just with missiles, but memory, history, stories. The ships didn't just shoot, they sang. A chorus of human resistance filled the void. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't clean, but it was real, and the SEO broke its network. Screamed, its form collapsed, its memory scattered. Earth didn't kill the echo. It reminded the galaxy that forgetting is not the same as winning. Weeks later, the silence returned. But this time, it was peaceful. The stars were still there. Earth still spun, and the Sentinel went dormant again. Rhea stood at the edge of the Pacific bunker. Watching sunrise, Malik approached her quietly. "Do you think it's really over?" "No," she said. "But we bought time." Reyes walked up behind them. "Maybe not forever, but enough." Anya smiled. "Enough to write our story. And make sure no one forgets." Rhea nodded. And far above them, the Helios Vow drifted in orbit, scarred, glowing, and still watching, because now the galaxy attacked a human outpost, and now their bones are buried in alien soil forever.